Despite all the fear and FUD of an epic market crash being stated by some of the top investors that are predicting this, the stock market continues to go higher and roaring and soaring to newer highs. You could see that here with the S&P 500 index. And even though some asset classes or sectors in the market are a little bit elevated, the stock market continues to present itself with opportunities. And even in the process of a crash, which we've seen in the last two crashes, right? We had a mini one here, which was like a correction. We had other corrections throughout last year. And then the biggest one was all the way back, obviously, in that crash from February to March of 2020. Actually, not just being a correction, if not a crash, but when you look at the chart, opportunities presented itself and they just kept going higher and higher. And today it's hitting new all-time highs. So corrections and crashes are bound to happen, and that's where opportunities begin. But despite all of that, stocks keep pushing higher, and we're going to talk about in this video some things going on with Wish. I want you guys to see how this all started at this peak. I've talked about the psychology of how the stock market works sometimes, and you got to think about, where did you start watching this as an investor, or where did you enter, right? That's the first thing I ask myself. Where did I enter? Where did I start watching this? And where did others enter? And where did they start watching this, right? How early did I know about it? Or did I start knowing about it after the first run and the pullback, or catching it on the second run and now it's pulling back? You know, these are the questions you want to be aware of, because anybody that entered down here and down here probably is cashing out now. And anybody that entered on the way up here on this run is now averaging down and then breaking even or cashing out small profits to actually not sit here and hold through the volatility. And we're seeing this pull back, right? That's what's going on with Wish. But before we go even deeper into the stock and everything that's basically the forming catalyst of this pullback, I want to share with you guys some of the opportunities I mentioned the last day I traded last week, which was back on Thursday on the 1st of July. And these were the opportunities we mentioned over at the Discord. And if you want to know what stocks I watch daily, you're more than welcome to join us. The link is down below in the description to the Discord. And by joining, you'll become part of a growing community of investors, all looking to learn and grow together. And here we are with the stocks we watch. So we talked about DIDI. It IPO'd the day before at $14, opened at 16. It was a little bit below 16, and this actually shot up above 16 on the same day, giving a 10 to 20% opportunity. MEDS was a home run for the day, and KTRA was another opportunity that almost reached 20% plus, calling itself a home run. So these were the results for KTRA and also MEDS. So KTRA, mentioned it in the pre-market, pulled back a little bit and shot up to a highest point of 18% plus. And here we are with MEDS, highest point of 50% plus in the pre-market. We started watching it early, had a lot of momentum. And even after the bell, it had a slight pullback and it jumped up nearly 10 to 20% jump in just a few minutes after the bell. Now, this had a lot of momentum since the pre-market, but throughout the day, even on the dips and jumps back up, it gave decent 10 to 15% opportunities, being a phenomenal one for the day. But it did hit a highest point since we started watching it, of 50% plus on the day. What a home run. It was phenomenal. If you guys want to know what stocks I watch daily, you're more than welcome to join us. The link is down below in the description to the Discord, and we look forward to having you join us. So here we are with Wish Stock, ContextLogic Inc WISH. And WISH stock is actually pulling downwards. Now, the news came out towards the middle of the week last week, right? That you could see here. I think it was on the 30th or the 1st. And you can see how it's reflecting, pulling it down even further down, that the CFO is transitioning. They left. Now, I did see statements from the CEO, right? Talking about during his 4.5 years, this is the CEO stating this about the CFO. Our CFO has been integral in scaling the company globally, leading us through our initial public offering last year and driving revenue growth. We wish our CFO well as he embarks on his new next career opportunities. So I think the CFO is not really leaving with anything about Wish, if not more of a personal growth decision, and feels like they've done their part for this company, WISH stock and Wish Stock, ContextLogic Inc. And they just want to go on to something else that probably presented itself to be better for them personally, but nothing really directly with Wish. So this is probably an overreaction or just a temporary pullback, in my opinion, about the fact that this news came out. And it's all going to back to the technicals, that if this did not break through $15 and hold itself up, it was bound to fall. But I just find it all a coincidence that the CFO is leaving at the same time that the charts are showing weakness and that they're supposed to pull back. And I've stated we could go closer to $10. If we break through it, we got to watch $9 and we got to watch $7. But right now, as long as we're above $10, there might be some strength, but this has just been a straight downward shot. The question is, will this consolidate in this area this coming up week, or could it continue downwards, and will we have to watch this closely? Okay, in the short term, things can get very rocky or volatile here, right? And like I stated earlier, I've talked about knowing where did, as an individual investor, an investor get in, where are they planning to get out, and where did others get in and where did they decide to get out, because that all reflects in the chart, right? So it's very, very important. I think there's more strength than anything if this was to pull back, if it continues to go into weakness and holds itself up above $9.70 or just in general $9 and does not go back to these lows down here that we saw the lowest point being $7.50 nearly, okay? So as long as this does show some strength from here to here, we could see that there's institutional ownership holding, individual investors holding, and holding up the stock and not allowing shorts to take full control over this downtrend and take it even further to newer lows or possibly back to $7. So super important to watch for that as well. Now, I came across some articles that were actually coming out around the time where the stock was pushing upwards, and I'm not sure if that had an effect indirectly or directly to the stock to push it higher, but it is important to be aware of it. And the heading says it all. Wish stock is more than a meme stock. It could double from here. Okay, this was June 22nd, and you could see here June 22nd was literally at its point of falling and going higher, right? Like it had consolidation and pushing up and consolidation, but right here, literally the 22nd fell and came higher, right? You could see all this moving downward, but this was right here a little bit before it continued and actually was pulling back and took off again. So it was in the middle of the process of going higher. But this article, I would encourage you to look it up. It was written by Investors Place, and just write this heading here: Wish stock is more than a meme stock. It could double from here, and read through it. And it talks about, other companies and how Wish is not just a meme stock. It's a solid company that can grow over time, and it's in its growth stage. And a lot of investors, if you keep reading out there in different areas, are comparing this to, and I'm not saying that it's as big as these companies, but to Facebook, Twitter, a Pinterest situation, or even Amazon, that they IPO'd, right? They flew because the excitement, dropped down and found consolidation or weakness somewhere around that area below the IPO pricing until it finally started to pick up steam, and it just continued to soar from there. If you look up Pinterest chart, look it up, you'll see it. If you look up Twitter's, you'll see the same thing that a lot of investors, especially experts, are comparing this to in different articles, and I can kind of see what they're saying. Now, Wish has growth potential. It has growth potential, but it has to become profitable. Now, the only thing that can make this stock rally, it's basically everything that's discussed here on how Reddit forums and different forums could possibly push the stock higher, hoping for a short squeeze, because the short squeeze is what's going to allow the stock to go to elevated highs not seen before, or back up closer to these levels up here that we've already seen but from way down here upwards, forcing shorts to cover and make this stock go higher. So that's one of the best things that could happen to it, but that's not really what investors and experts are saying. That could be one route, but this is way more than just that route. This is actually fundamentally, quote unquote, a stock with potential. It's just going to take some time, and it's there. Obviously, the risk of it actually not becoming anywhere near its expected growth. But if it grows as expected and it can work on some of its, cost bases for shipping and different things, and continues to expand and adoption, and more investors become aware that ContextLogic Inc is Wish, this is an e-commerce platform, and every single stock that's in e-commerce has had their way to the upside, regardless of being profitable or not, because e-commerce in some way or shape or form was once called the future. It still is the future as it continues to develop, but it is the present, and it is the most well-diverse used platforms by every consumer at some point, right? And Wish is said to be like a flea market or the online mobile dollar store. And I think that's like one of the biggest takeaways that I've always taken about Wish, that if I think about Dollar General and Dollar Tree, look at those charts, that stock was way down and it took forever to go upwards, but once it did, it's just continued to go higher. And that's what right now Wish is in the works of becoming profitable, and it's going to take this stock to newer highs. But through this volatility that we're in right now, the biggest thing I would be watching for is if there's consolidation, if this goes closer to $10, and if it breaks through $10, we need to see strength above 9, and if not, between 9 and 7, I'd watch very closely the behavior of this stock and what is going on. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.